Hi everybody, we are live. Get that music going. All right. There we go. Who can name what movie this is from? We had a little back and forth about it. The sun is definitely shining in the sky and it's burning us on the earth.
Everywhere.
It is, it's a little hot where we are.
It's the same in Europe.
Wherever you are is probably just as hot.
Yeah.
Craig James joined. Welcome, everybody. ISA's Wine Wednesdays. We do not own the rights to this music.
I wish we did. That's
I wish we did.
Mr. Blue Sky by the Electric Light Orchestra.
And this song was in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I'm sure it was in a lot more than that, but that's what we remember. Julian Silver, hello. Hello to everyone tuning in so far. All right, so we just started. She likes this music so much that we're just going to leave it going, I guess, the entire episode. All right, anyway, hello again, Michael Olson. All right, thanks for joining us, guys.
Everybody, yes, thank you. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone at home.
Everyone listening on the podcast, welcome
aboard.
Thank you.
Listening on the podcast.
This is Max Tim and Felicity Wren. We are
guess which one's which?
I don't know. And I don't even think they could tell on the podcast.
We've got a J-Lo fan going, which is why my hair keeps doing a slightly strange thing with a fringe.
And Robin, you're probably right. It was in Wally.
Yeah. I think it's a really popular song. I mean, it makes me feel so uplifted. It really does.
Yeah, it's a fun song. And the irony, I think, is with Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, it gives anxiety when I hear it because of...
how sad that movie is.
Yeah, so wonderful. I love that movie. That's what we're talking about today. Can movies change the world? How to change movies, how do movies change the world, whatever it is. If you hear a little hum in the background, it's because it's about 125 degrees in our apartment. We don't have air conditioning, and there's a fan on us. It's one reason why Felicity looks like she's in a Pepsi commercial.
So anyway, and the other reason is?
Because we're hot and we need some air.
No, I was going to say that's one reason why I look like I'm in a Pepsi commercial. I wonder what the other one was.
I had no idea.
Just Pepsi commercials often wear strapless dresses. That's what it is. In case you were wondering.
Evening, Lee J. All right. Well, anybody, thanks for joining everybody. Everybody in the podcast again. Thank you. We are with the International Screenwriters Association.
Yes, and we are.
We do this just about every other week. We get another one coming next week. So we were off a week. We get 2 in a row. We're going to be off for another couple weeks. But you can always check the ISA Facebook page to find out when the next show is. We're usually on 7 o'clock Pacific on Wednesday nights.
Yes, and sometimes we have special guests, like in September you were having a special guest while I'm away in London town.
I didn't know you were going to London town.
Yes, I'm going for my birthday.
Okay, all right. I'm going to do that show by myself with the guest. That's good. This is how we find out what our schedule is going to be. Oh, you're leaving for a long time. Okay.
Oh, only 10 days. No, but we did. I did think that the other day when I was like looking at movies because I was finding some movies that have been very inspirational to me. I was thinking about ones that make people feel good, that I think change the fabric of you while you're watching them.
Yeah, right.
And I thought there seemed to be a lot of ones from a few years ago, and then I remembered I was holding down 3 jobs, and I was like, okay, that's why.
You have a lot of what from 3 years ago?
I'm holding down 3 jobs at the moment. That's why I don't get to go to the cinema as often.
Oh, we don't. Yeah. So we're very bad movie-going people. We don't really see. I don't see very many movies in the theater. You should. Don't do as I do. Do as I say. I do need to go and watch.
I want to see. I've got a movie pass card, but.
Well, they limited it to 3 per month now.
3 a month, I know, but still, 1 a month would be good right now.
Yeah, really, anything. We should be studying what is, in the theaters.
You read the scripts. Anyway, we've been sponsored today by the very beautiful Steel Wines.
Steel Wines.
We're having a white.
Let's pour this so that while I have to read the back of this label, and I don't often do that because it's kind of boring for you to hear.
But don't worry, he's going to use an interesting voice. He's not just going to do that one monotone that he seems to be in right now.
Yeah, that's not going to be monotone. Why do you talk? Jesus. Let's start off by
teasing Max Tim.
This is a Roseanne. My job. This is a Roseanne from Steel Wine. It's part of their Writer's Block line. Can't turn it the wrong way. Roseanne. So I want to read this just because it's one of the reasons the wine sales associate, the gentleman that is so wonderful for sending these to us for free, of course, in sponsorship. One of the winemakers there was an author and writer himself.
Yeah.
And so one of the reasons why he wanted to put all these words on the back of a label is because
it was true. Drew
Drew
is our
was there,
person
yes,
who looks after us.
So, as an ode to steel wines, and Mahinder Khalid's Lapland was the person who wrote this.
Easy for you to say.
Well, yeah, Felicity hasn't read this, so this is fun. It's a little story as to why this person enjoys this wine. All right, here we go. I was pleasure whoring in Elephant Alley one night when we accidentally bumped up. She was incandescent with teeth like halogen headlights and platinum blonde hair that nearly crackled with product. Her legs were long enough to barely touch the inside of her high heels, and her eyes smoldered with a hint of ferality behind too much mascara. It was love at first sight for me, though for her maybe not so much. She was well-traveled with unknown incomes and quirky, some might say, perverse appetites. Our first time out, she took me to a little motel she knew of outside of San Luis Obispo, where the beds were especially bouncy with 15 bottles of Roussanne, 3 bottles of Syrah, leftover chicken vindaloo, and the CD of some klezmer metal hybrid. That was the night I whispered batonage in her ear, and she judo flipped me to the floor, pressing her stiletto heel to my carotid in Pavlovic response. Yes, that's a good thing. We were in that room for 3 days, coming out only for 7-Up and Stella Artois, and yes, the bed was bouncy. For the next 3 months, we were insatiable, Bonnie and colliding halfway across the country. Ice wine and leather in Vancouver, scallop and Sauv Blanc, binging at Tahoe, riding bareback and saddleless in Montana to secluded hot springs with enough Zinfandel and chocolate sauce for us and the horses. Inevitably, she left me in some podunk town east of Mendocino with $21, a bent corkscrew, and a bullet hole in my coat pocket.
Do you think that was a
Crashed and
analogy?
burned.
A bent corkscrew?
Probably. That was some years ago, and I know I'll never reach those heights again. But from time to time, I'll open a Roussanne, whisper batonage to the wind. Cheers to that
Frothy.
writer, huh? That was pretty
amazing.
good.
I acted out quite a lot of it.
Good, I'm
until
glad
we got to the hotel room and it was bouncy beds, and I thought,
Yeah, that's not a good idea. I
Not
had to
in the
read
story.
that. I had to read it just because I thought Mahinder, who wrote that, did a fine job. Anyway, cheers
we
to
were definitely
Steel
there
Wines.
in the moment. Cheers, cheers, delicious,
Cheers.
delicious. Thank you, Still
If you have some wine, drink up. Movies can change people, and people change the world. Beautiful, DJ. There you go. Hi, Muggs.
I agree.
There you go. Our link to Steel Wines. I'm just scrolling through our comments here. All right. So, did Max say pleasure whoring? See?
Yeah, I know. It started with pleasure whoring and went from
That's
there.
why I had to read it. I'm like, oh, what? This is fantastic. All
I
right.
mean, also, like, Max is like one of the good guys. He doesn't say things like whoring very often. It's not it's not something I expect to come out of your
But
mouth.
that sounds like a 3 month binge. 3 month binge. I wouldn't mind having. That
I was
what
going to
trying
say that there's probably some munching going on, I'm certain.
So our other and fabulous sponsor
It's
is.
CineQuest.
Yeah. If you don't know what CineQuest is,
Well, we are very lucky because CineQuest is actually going to give away a free entry to their screenplay contest. So we are going to be giving away a free entry to their screenplay contest for their festival, which is March the 5th to the 17th.
right. So the CineQuest, it's a film festival, annual independent film festival held in March in San Jose, California. The International Festival combines the cinematic arts with Silicon Valley's innovation. The next festival will be called CineQuest Film and Creativity Festival 2019, starting March 5th.
Yeah.
There you go.
So do stay tuned. We're going to do some trivia. This is our new favourite way to end.
Yeah.
So we'll do some trivia, and whoever gets the most trivia questions right, there'll be music and questions.
You
We're
should be
mixing
checking
it
out
up.
everything that CineQuest has to offer. Go to their website. It's a really nicely well done
I know, it's gorgeous.
website.
Really nice.
Easy to navigate. It's pretty. But CineQuest is a fabulous festival. Of course, they love screenwriters, so that's why they're helping us sponsor tonight. So thank you,
Absolutely.
CineQuest.
Thank you, CineQuest. You're amazing. Still Wines, Drew, we love you.
Yeah, this is really good. I've
is
never
nice.
heard of the Roussanne.
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 Pairs well with shellfish, oysters, crab and lobster, roast chicken or duck, Indian chicken curry, so obviously back to the vindaloo, and a vast array of different and soft, hard cheeses. But you can keep the cheese because that's rubbish. But I'm allergic. But it's flavours of apricots, pear, and some mint and green leaf tea, and it really does have that. So it's delicious.
There's Drew commenting in our comment section. Hi, Drew. The wine is living up to the writing.
It
Mahinder
really is.
did a hell of a job.
It certainly has got a lot of flavour. It's zinging around my palate.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm munching the wine. And then we'd also like to say we've got a few bits of business. Fast Track is still open. Today
Yeah.
is the last day for the hard deadline for Fast Track.
You should be submitting to Fast Track. We can't push that enough. It's our flagship fellowship. And really, it's not really, we don't want to call it a contest. It's a fellowship because we award 2 writers for basically forever They're a
Yeah.
part of our development slate. At least 1 year, usually it's longer. All of the fellows that end up becoming fellows have gone on to some pretty
Fellows
amazing
and females.
stuff. Yeah,
Fellows and females.
right. Yeah, yeah. Well, that's true. They're men and women, but
Yeah, well, one David in particular, David Kushner in particular, has done extremely well.
David Kushner and Andy Byrne and Sean. Oh my gosh, Sean
Colin
remind me-
Smith,
Colin Smith,
and Lily Mercer,
Lily
and Henna
Mercer,
Secondary,
Melissa Burks,
Wendy Wilkins.
Yeah,
They're all
Emily
doing
Thompson.
well.
They're all actually either repped or working or getting assignments.
Yeah,
It's a big deal. Yeah, and that
we've changed their life.
I was just going to say, so we had something to do with that. All right, I think we're hitting everything, but
We have one more contest, which is for our friends at Creative Screenwriting. We need to tell they're doing a contest at the moment.
yeah.
So contestcreativescreenwriting.com.
Yeah, and at the very least, you should go to creativescreenwriting.com because they have just a ton of articles and constant movie reviews. And our Jeff York, who does Page to Screen on our podcast page, you should be listening to our podcast. Obviously, you are if you're listening to this one right now. But Jeff York does a whole bunch of reviews of movies and television shows, and he's great. He always has a guest on talking about the new shows and movies. But all right,
It's really good. So we decided today to have a conversation about movies and how they change the world and how they change the people of the world, as we were very eloquently told in our comments. Because I just did a table read event for Table Read My Screenplay this weekend, and I said my last big thanks was to all the screenwriters out there. I said to them, you changed the world.
the writers change the world. I mean, even just look at the person that wrote this fabulous back of the label. I mean, I don't know if that's going to necessarily change the world in all, but I will say when I read someone who writes that well, it's like authors who have just mastered the craft. It's inspiring, and then that inspiration moves you to apply yourself, to learn, and then to, of course, apply what you've learned, and then hopefully live up to the person that is writing that well.
Get better.
Yeah, and then you're going to be writing something that someone else is going, and all that is positive energy moving forward.
And I feel like the world really needs some positive energy right now.
Oh my God.
I mean, as we were in the fires, I mean, I don't know, of heat, both in Europe and in America.
Yeah.
In this heat wave, I feel trying not to get too worried about the big stuff. I'm only trying to deal with the things I can deal with, so that's about.
Felicity tends to see the scary things in the world, and
I worry about them. That's why I'm a
She worries.
vegetarian. That's why I'm pretty much vegan. I believe in sentient beings. I believe in looking after each other. I believe in compassion and love.
I think
and
there's a
kindness.
level of worry that's healthy. We should all be concerned about something and then take action to make change. Felicity doesn't do this, but when you start allowing the worry to negatively affect your own life, it's not helping anybody,
No, and I think you have to stay at a high vibration to remain in a good place. So watching movies like the ones we have picked out today.
So before we go there, I just want to say we would love to hear what you and your movies are that changed your life. What does Julian say? Tell you what, don't know if movies can change the world, but it certainly has changed my world. There you go. See. So and that's kind
all
of the
you
whole
can
point.
work on.
That's
You
the
can
only
only
thing you
work
can
on you.
focus on. So movies that have changed your life. Here
Yeah.
are some of the movies that have changed ours.
Well, we started this conversation because I read an article in Vanity Fair, I don't know whether James is going to post this or not, about The Truman Show and how it's the 20-year anniversary of it being revealed.
20 years.
And revealed. And just how that Laura Linney actually speaks in the article about how she felt that the script was kind of incredible at the time, that people would want to watch someone going to sleep, waking up in the morning, cleaning their teeth. The whole premise of the story seemed incredulous to them as actors at the time, and now we live in that world.
And it's important to note that by incredible, yes, the script was well written, but they meant like ridiculous. Like, this is never going to happen.
Who would want that?
Yeah, who would want to do that? now
Now
there's like
we-
700 some odd reality shows on television.
Yeah, 750. And then also, just even if they're not being filmed for the reality TV, then they're actually making up their own reality with Instagram and Facebook,
Right.
and
Yeah.
so they're keeping track for you anyway.
Yeah.
And so it kind of started with that idea about something that was an amazing idea in what's his writer's name again? Nichol, yes. Andrew Nichol. I'm a big fan of his. Started in his head and then grew into a TV show. But if I think about that movie, there's so much in it that I love and am touched by now.
Like what?
his sweetness and innocence and kindness as a human being, his wish to follow true love.
So that's what did it and does it for me. And a lot of those movies, like The Truman Show, when you compare them to other movies, not of concept or similar concept, but of that setup for future triumph. And that's what Truman Show does so well, not only conceptually, because you already know this guy is pretty much trapped within a world of cameras, but when he says he wants to adventure, he wants to see what's outside of Seaside. Is that what it's
Sea
called?
Haven.
Sea Haven. Now we are connected to him because we all have a dream. We all want something. We all want to move towards something, and he has this dream, and he's being held back from it. So,
well, and also it showed you that having the perfect life wasn't the answer. So having the perfect
Right.
body, the perfect wife, the perfect life, it seems the
in the
perfect
town,
job,
and yeah,
you know, in a beautiful kind of sterile, antiseptic world.
right. And there was a girl that he never forgot.
Yeah.
And so you add that layer, and you can see that this is just another guy, and we're relating to this. He's the
And
everyman.
That's the other thing is, I guess, you know, if you're thinking my life is terrible, or, you know, I can't get it to go the way it wants, even if it was, there would still be something you would want to be different.
Right.
Because that is the human.
So in a way, you could argue that, and I don't even know it's argue. I think everybody would agree. But the Truman Show changed our lives because we saw that we can be more than what we currently are. We can follow that dream. We can go out into the unknown, and that was what was so great, that we never saw Truman outside of this bubble. It was total unknown for us and for him, and everybody who was watching, they didn't know. But then, of course, we see the girl running down the steps, and we have the music, and everybody's cheering on TV, and it's those triumphant movies at the end when that character does something finally that they were
He
never able to
succeeds.
do.
And I mean, that I remember the shock when he hits the wall in the boat.
Yeah, right.
I remember that clunk, and then
Yeah.
him finding the steps in the clouds.
Yeah.
It's just such a iconic moment.
And his realization that, you know, like it
It was
all just fell over,
all-
and he's slamming his hand against the wall. It's, yeah.
And if you listen to this podcast a lot or watch these shows, you know I'm a massive Jim Carrey fan. I really do admire his work. I think he's
That's a big point that we were making before we started, is that Jim is famous for choosing movies for him to act in that are reflecting where he is in his life, and what he, you know, in order for him to take a look at who he is, and he felt at that time, and that's what the Vanity Fair article talks about, right?
Yeah.
What was it saying?
Well, it just said that basically it was that he says that moment in where he says goodbye, see you later. What's the quote? I can't remember. Shit, I
In
should
case,
look it
you know, in case I don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, good night. Yeah.
up. And then it has that moment he waves and he goes out of the steps away from the world that he's been in. And he actually talks in the Vanity Fair interview about the fact that he actually, at that moment, part of him decided that he wasn't going to do people-pleasing movies anymore. He was going to do something that really resonated with him. And it's interesting because I was looking it up on Amazon Prime and just looking at the movie and thinking, should I download it? And then reading the reviews, and everyone's like, when he comes back from the madness he's going through right now, when he returns. And I think it's interesting there's so much judgment
Well,
about
he
this
saw,
journey
like,
he's
one of the
on.
reasons why he wanted to do the movie is because he felt like Truman anyway. Cameras were constantly on him. He had no privacy.
But he's getting a real bad stick right at the moment for the choices he's making, even in his personal life. But he's back doing movies. He's
He's
exec
got a new
producing
show
another
coming
one.
out. He's
Yeah.
got a show on Showtime that looks really weird, but interesting. I would love. I mean, can you imagine? We get to see Jim Carrey on TV for an hour every day for hopefully a long time. That's pretty exciting. So I think, and overall, we're going to go into more movies, and everybody should be sharing what movies are that change your life, and we'll look at these here. But the general sense of most movies, not all, you know, there are going to be some movies that you might mention that, you know, don't necessarily have this type of structure. But for me, it's the movies about redemption. We have literally Shawshank Redemption, you know, in our list. But redemption and able to do something they were never able to do before. Or they never knew, or it was a complete new discovery of self, or, you know, those
Changing their
those
story.
transformations or level of, like, for me, the biggest movie that changed my life in a literal sense, and we were kind of laughing about this because there have been movies that quite literally we are people who we are today because of the movie. But Braveheart, and I think I've told the story before on here, is that I watched Braveheart, looked at the end credits, and thought, hey, wow, people do this for a living, and I love this movie so much, I want to be a part of that. That's what made me go into, the writing and movie making world.
Yeah, no, I think I've.
Hello.
This is Ella's bottom.
There's our cat's butt.
Well, I mean, that's changing someone's world, I'm sure. Let's see, I know Muggs is put To Sir with Love. Was that?
To Sir with Love. Muggs, I apologize. I have never seen To Sir with Love. I apologize. But it changed your life, and that's what mattered. All right, Kat, what are we doing over here? Oh, my goodness.
Ella. See, even the heat over here is making her.
And the podcast listeners probably heard that, too. That was the cat.
Yeah.
The series Deadwood, it flipped my thinking about what television can do. That's cool.
That's interesting. Breaking Bad did that for me.
Movies that have changed my life. Amadeus, amazing.
Oh my goodness, I love that movie. I forgot about it.
Hiding Place, all about Eve. EJ says, Jacob's Ladder not only changed my life, but made me ponder my own. Scared the shit out of my own.
Well, The Good Life made me do that when I first started watching
right.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
How have I been in my life? Am I a
Would
good
I go to
person?
the good place? Yeah. E.T., the original
Close
Star Wars,
Encounters.
Close Encounter, Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
Talk to Her. I don't know, Talk to Her. Lisa Long joined.
Hi, Lisa. We're talking favourite movies, if you're wondering, Lisa.
Rosebud, of course.
Rosebud.
Yeah, I mean, Citizen Kane, when I watched it, I don't know if I don't know if it's like there are nuances about what does it mean to change your life, because it affected me, but it was more on a visual sense because I think I was too young to understand the story that was going on. I was just beginning my, dive into real movies in high school, and of course everybody was like, Citizen Kane, so I'm like, I have to watch Citizen Kane. And I think I was more awed by the visual just prominence,
Well, it's suddenly the thing about ceilings. I remember reading this article and it was about the ceilings, and I'd never seen a ceiling before. So he did all these shots where suddenly you felt you had the room, you could feel the room.
And there's a sense of being trapped and enclosed.
And the patterns that he used on the floor.
Yeah.
I think I always come back to the hours. I mean, the thing is, obviously I'd seen movies before that. Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence, I think I've talked about as a massive David Bowie fan. I think I nearly wept all my salt water, all my 70% of water that is my body out when he was buried up to his neck in the sand. Actually, when I was listening to music earlier and looking for movie stuff, I heard that music from when he's buried, and it was like, oh, back. But the hours still, because it's those female leads, which is, that did make a difference for me. Why I've been working for the International Screenwriters Association, working with producers, working with my own writer friends, is to try and tell more female stories, try and move us up the food chain. Even when I did my long list, we have a long list of movies that I think are inspiring and engaging and changing and transformative. There was only one at the very end that was written by a woman, and that was Love, Simon, which is a brand new one. So it was written by two people, Elizabeth Berger and Isaac Aptaker.
I have not seen Love, Simon.
And they wrote it. They were both exec producers on This Is Us, so I think they were obviously writers on This Is Us. Maybe wrote Love Simon. I don't know. I'm surmising. But anyway, that was the only woman that was in my list.
Well, like when I look, like the movie It's a Wonderful Life is my favorite movie of all time, and a good gauge for me in terms of favorite movies, because it's so relative, is how often can I watch a movie and still enjoy it just as much as the first time, Like, and it goes down to like Dumb and Dumber and Liar Liar, like just ridiculous comedies.
I once had can I interrupt you, sorry? A very interesting conversation with, I basically sat on a plane once with someone, and he had his laptop with Dumb and Dumber on it, and he was like, do you want to watch this movie with me? He's a complete stranger. And I was like, yeah, all right. So we had an earphone each.
No.
And we watched Dumb and Dumber together on an aeroplane flight from London to LA.
I'm sure you laughed your butt off.
We were completely wetting ourselves. He kept going, more wine! So I think we were the most obnoxious people.
Yeah, I think any movie that can make you laugh so much that when you're walking out of the movie theater you just feel so much better, that in a way it's like changing the world a little bit, just one person at a time. But when, like for a movie with It's a Wonderful Life is kind of like my reset. It's like, because I only watch it at Christmas, and it's right at the end of the year, and it's a reminder of what actually is important after you go through all the crap that the year has presented you, and then you watch It's a Wonderful Life, and you're like, I'm fine.
Well,
it's not that bad.
I'm a bit estranged from my dad. I mean, not really, but a bit. And he lives in Australia. And I sent him that one Christmas. I sent him It's a Wonderful Life. I guess trying to say to him in my kind of roundabout way, it doesn't matter that I don't hear from you and we're not really in touch, but I love you. You're still my dad.
Yeah.
And if without you, I wouldn't be here. So,
Sure.
I don't know if he got that. Dad, you're listening. I think he watched the first one 2 years ago, but he doesn't watch it anymore.
Let's see, Lee J. I guess I'm an oddball. I must make people laugh. Steve Martin and The Jerk. Come on, of course.
Nice.
I watched The Jerk when I was real little, I was probably 12. And it's still one of the best opening lines of a movie ever.
What is it?
I was raised a poor black child. I mean, it's just brilliant. You know immediately what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
Especially
with that lovely white shock of hair, Steve Martin.
Hidden Figures.
Hidden Figures. Oh, yeah. I put The Help down as one of the ones that was very inspirational. And the reason I really like this is because it was written and directed by Tate Taylor. Now, Tate Taylor, he adapted the novel by Catherine Stockett, but he was acting in Winter's Bone the year before in some kind of smallish role.
What did he write?
The Help.
Oh, The Help. Okay.
And then in 2011, he directed The Help, and then in 2016, he directed Girl on the Train. Sorry, that is an amazing trajectory from 2010, small role in Winter's Bone.
Right. I'm sure he was doing other things.
Yeah, I mean, of course, he was obviously writing, and it must be while he was doing that, he must have been putting this show to get the Help together, because he wrote it and directed it. Yeah. But I mean, that felt to me like, from when I looked down his credits, I was like, who is this guy? I mean, like, he definitely changed his life and turned it around.
Right.
From finding this movie.
Robin says, as a science nerd, I couldn't believe I'd never heard this story, and she's talking about Hidden Figures.
Right.
Or learned about it in school. It completely changed my perception of one of the biggest American events, and I honestly hated that the story had been hidden. It reaffirmed my belief that representation matters as it shapes public perception.
I agree.
Shaping public perception. I think that's kind of a good segue, because one thing that I wanted to just mention, as far as attempting to change the world or attempting to change a life, you really can't. It's kind of like the idea of J.K. Rowling trying to sell 500 million copies of her book. Like, that's not something you can try to do. All you as a writer can do is just find something that you believe is meaningful and that other people can connect with, and then deliver it in a unique way, and then just hope someone connects.
JFK, Oliver Stone. That the detail he went into. That's only different because it's not based on original content or material. Obviously, if you can find something that's, real, then, and you get the rights to it, then do it. But the way he delivered JFK was amazing. But he did collate all the evidence, and he did kind of show it in a clearer way than I'd ever seen it before.
Right. Yeah.
I literally watched that movie twice. I paid to go. I watched it once. I sat there. They changed around people. I was still in the movie, and I watched it again.
Yeah, I mean, talk about changing public perception. Something what happened, somebody killed JFK, and it's not so easily.
No two ways about it.
Muggs is right on. I was going to say Rudy. It definitely affected me big time. Rudy, you've seen Rudy?
No.
Oh, it's about the kid who wants to play football for Notre Dame.
Oh, well, it would affect you, seeing as you're
Notre
Dame.
And it was, I come from my dad was an All-American at Notre Dame, and I always wanted to, attend Notre Dame. I went to Holy Cross College, which was across the street from Notre Dame. It was the same school that Rudy went to. Rudy then transferred to Notre Dame and played football over there. I wasn't a football player, but that was the route I took. And I watched Rudy before I ended up going to Holy Cross, and it was, it affected me. It really did.
So
it
what
made me believe that dreams are possible. Movies like that you're like, what, he did that, I can do that.
So what would you say to a writer to then create something that makes it feel that something's possible?
So I think it's all in how you set up the character. What is the character? What is it? If you have a character that's dreaming of something, how do you do it in a subtle and easy way that's relatable, but for the audience to understand this is so important to him or her, and then piling on the odds against that person achieving it, and how difficult it is, and especially if it's a true story, or even if it isn't a true story, and you're trying to just tell a story that people can relate to, and then allow for the triumph to be the payoff. And that's what stories are constantly. It's just a constant set of setups and payoffs until finally you have the huge payoff. I was talking to one of my writers today with the Story Farm, and she had this relationship drama where the third act was actually really working well, and it had this kind of sense of, an ex-girlfriend was going to help her ex-girlfriend go and to this dance competition so that that girl could be with the person she's supposed to be with. And I thought, this is a really exciting third act, but the conflict isn't leading me enough to really feel that triumphant moment in the third act, so that the relationship that she was battling with during the second act just kind of felt like, well, I don't really care that much. But if you can raise the stakes, meaning what's at stake if this doesn't happen, what would happen to these people if the relationship doesn't work out, then the third act starts to feel more powerful. And that third act in these Truman shows and Dead Poets Society and Rudy, and where they finally do something they've never been able to do or they've been afraid to do, that's when the audience, that's like, when in Truman Show, everybody's literally cheering.
Oh my goodness,
And
I
it's-
remember going
you
to
are
all the
cheering
different
too.
places.
Yeah.
All
yeah.
the different places where they're sat watching.
Yeah.
They kind of, well, also it's that thing about being in your humdrum life. It's like, as a, even in the Truman Show, they showed people going about their business, and as we watch it, we're going about our business. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
right.
it was a double audience moment almost.
Yeah, right. It was a little meta for sure. Yeah, but what the Truman Show does so well is that, and I think this is important for every writer to remember, is that if you think you've got a great concept, good, go with the concept. But concept is not enough to tell the story. The character is the one who's going to be driving that concept, and if we don't understand how bad a character wants something and how difficult it is for that character to achieve it, then it's not going to have as much of a payoff, and the concept won't matter. So in Truman Show, what did they have in the first original script was before
Oh
they
yeah,
changed
sorry, yeah, it was going to be set in New York. It was going to be very dark and
it.
very
Really dark, and Truman was like cheating on his wife with his mistress.
prostitute.
Yeah, and
He was whoring it about.
He was right, and there was a moment on the train where he didn't help someone who got mugged and assaulted. So they made Truman out to be kind of a
He was, not a very
mean
good person to be following.
So how much of a triumph is it going to be at the end to see him get out? Not much, because we're not going to really connect that
Well,
much.
we're just going to go with this shitty person
He's
who
like,
deserves
great,
to be
now he's
stuck.
out in our world.
Yeah, stay in there.
Yeah.
Stay in the subway, Truman.
So I think any movie that's going to change someone for the positive, for the better, to make them feel better by the end, has to have some kind of triumphant ending. Some movies, like A Clockwork Orange, these darker movies like what was that? A Requiem for a Dream. Requiem for a Dream changed me, and not in a good way. It was an ugly. I had to bathe myself after watching Requiem for a Dream. So there are movies that don't need to have the triumph at the end to change you, but what kind of change are you trying to instill? That's why I've never really connected with those.
Well, I think so.
Requiem
I
for a
don't
Dream.
really like horror movies very much because I have a very fertile imagination, and I don't want to be going to the bathroom at night wondering if there's someone out there trying to
Yeah.
attack me. As it was, we had a door-to-door salesman come to the apartment today, and I only looked at him through the little flap. I was only wearing a bra top.
Yeah.
He'd already seen me through the window, and I already felt awkward. What can I tell
She
you?
doesn't like, I enjoy
I don't
being
like flashing my bits to
with
them.
scary movies and horror movies and stuff. I know I'm going to be spooked, and I know it's not going to change my life. So I just enjoy it, and I just laugh my way through how scared I am. Like that.
Laugh while a little bit of wee comes out. That's what's really happening.
What else we got?
Well, Forrest Gump is sad. Jenny dies. And I think, but at the
Yes.
same time, you kind of realise what an amazing life he's had. There is a triumph to it, but it is still very sad. Hello, Kevin. Nice to see you.
Yeah.
I was thinking about you the other
Hey,
day.
Kevin. Yeah, it's interesting because the triumph for Forrest is growing up,
Being a dad.
being a father, and having kind of
His
that-
own little Forrest.
Yeah, he's
Forrest
now going to
Jr..
be teaching himself, and Forrest always knew he wasn't perfect. That scene with Robin Wright, and he points, she points to Haley Joel Osment watching the TV, and then they both sit down together and they both tilt their heads the same way. I lose it every time. Lose it every time, man. And then Robin Wright's like, yeah. I don't know if it's hard to say. And this is, again, it's the nuance of what does it mean to change someone's life. If you can just improve their mood, that's changing someone's life.
Yeah, I mean, like sometimes I think everyone has a movie they go to if they're like full of heartache or got the blues or been dumped
Right.
or or work's been terrible. I mean, I think if I'm really stressed out, then I definitely go for comedy. I always want to watch something funny. That's probably again why I love Jim Carrey, even though
We have the police over us right now.
Truman Show and The Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind are probably my go-to out of his.
Yeah, I mean, if I look back as being a little kid, I was probably 4 or 5, and I remember they used to, in America anyway, broadcast in the early spring in March. It was annual for maybe 3 or 4 years, maybe longer, and they would broadcast Wizard of Oz. And my sister Carrie was probably, I think she's 3 years older than I am, and she was much more into the storytelling and acting, and even from a little age. And so I just kind of, being her little brother, I just pretty much did what she did. So I remember sitting down, and we had the big TV that was like on the floor. It was like a piece of furniture. And I remember sitting, like less than 3 feet away from the TV.
Get square eyes.
A big bowl of popcorn and watching Wizard of Oz. And I don't think at the time I didn't realize how much it was changing my life, because Wizard of Oz scared me a little bit as a kid.
So were you the Scarecrow or the Tin Man or the Lion?
I don't know. I think I connected most with the Scarecrow, because at the time I thought he was kind of goofy and funny. I think looking back on it, it's probably a combination of the Scarecrow and the Lion. That's a good question, though. Yeah, I don't know who I will really connect with. But nonetheless, point being, what the Wizard of Oz did is that it brought in a level of fantasy, and The Hobbit, and it was over. I was in, and then that led me to write my fantasy, young adult book, and just fall in love with fantasy. So I remember in college, I would just have Lord of the Rings on in the background.
So I guess what we're saying is that art really does change people's lives anyway, in the fact that it allows you, all types of art allows you to explore your own consciousness and the things that you find great and the things that are inspiring to you.
Yeah.
And gives colour to your life. I mean, we are definitely not put on this planet to just work. Let's be certain about that. We're supposed to be having a good time here at the same time.
So Lee J saying, is it apocalypse now? He's talking about the helicopters.
You can obviously hear it.
It's apocalypse always. Yeah.
Actually, no, we live in a nice bit of town. It's actually not so bad.
It sounds
here.
not so bad, but you still get helicopters. It's a city of 7 million people. It's kind of hard not to. But there was a trivia question that had something to do with Apocalypse Now, and we can get into trivia, but if anybody has any questions or anything, you're welcome to ask. We've got
So what do we
of
think about
comments.
Dead Poet Society? What was that? I mean, I really loved that movie because I really love Robin Williams. I mean, he is an incredible performer. I think it's interesting that he was so inspiring while he carried so much sadness inside him. His need to build everyone else up while he himself...
Are you talking? Oh, well, then you might be combining Good Will Hunting with Dead Poet Society, because
No, but as a person.
Oh, as a human
We've
being.
just watched that
Oh,
documentary
sure.
on him, didn't we?
if you haven't watched the
that?
Robin Williams documentary on HBO, it's
Watch it.
pretty heartbreaking.
It's wonderful.
Loved Dead Poet Society, and I think what's so important about that is that it was bringing back this old Latin term of carpe diem, and the college-aged kid at the time can connect with that. Like, yeah, seize the day. I'm going to do this. Especially when it's then met with this poor kid who ends up killing himself because he's just so oppressed by his father.
Yeah.
And now you're like, oh my God, I need to seize the day.
Yeah, it gave you a proper example as to why you should.
Pretty good example. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do we got? This is the first time I'm actually catching a live chat with you guys. Hey, all right, Gemma. How have I missed this? I don't know how you've missed this. And you're upside
We're
down
here.
happy. Glad you're here, Gemma.
Yeah, we're here quite a lot. Not all the time, but quite a lot. And then, okay, so I want to then say that a lot of the ones that were really, this might be our last little point to talk about before we go to trivia, and
Yeah, we're going to do trivia in about 3 minutes.
is that a lot of them, so okay, I'm going to go through The Shawshank Redemption, Punch Drunk Love, Her, Lost in Translation, Silver Linings Playbook, Magnolia, Django Unchained,
Django
The Help,
Unchained.
that's Quentin Tarantino, Garden State, Comet, The Perks of Being a Wallflower, that was for the
Perks of being a wallflower. Please enunciate.
Actually, that's not true. That's for something else. But anyway, they were. They're all, apart from the Perks. Sorry, they're all writer directors. So Garden State, Django Unchanged, Magnolia is Paul Thomas Anderson, sorry. Silver Linings Playbook, David O. Russell. Lost in Translation, Sophia Coppola. Her, Spike Jonze. Punch Drunk Love, Paul Thomas Anderson again, and The Shawshank Redemption, Frank Darabont. All
Okay.
this idea about being a writer-director, so having this story that is so burning inside you. Well, and also Tate Taylor, he did The Help. I mean, he translated a book, but some people have made this up. Some have kind of translated a book, but then being so passionate about it that you want to, it's interesting that they're all inspiring stories.
Yeah, I mean, and not every writer wants to be a director, not every director wants to be a writer, but if you have the capability of being both, if you're young, I will say, that sadly is important, to start a career in directing. Writing, thankfully, there isn't that much ageism, unless you might be in the TV room, writing room, but you can write until the day you die. Nobody really cares how old you are. Directing, a little different. The industry looks at directors differently. Thankfully, there's much more openness for female directors. I think we definitely need more female directors. But anyway, I think the point being, if you have a story to tell, just tell it. Don't get caught up in only concept. Make sure you understand why you're trying to tell your story and why you think people are going to relate to this. Ask yourself those questions when you have this, a concept that you haven't written a script for. How are people going to react? Don't necessarily ask the question, is it going to change their life? But how are they going to be affected by it? And even if it's negatively, even if it's a Requiem for a Dream, the positive reaction to Requiem for a Dream is that I'm never going to do drugs because of how terrible the depiction was. So, it's not all that bad, but the movie, not drugs. Anyway, I think you guys understand what we're saying about can movies change the world. I think the obvious answer is yes.
Well, what we're saying is that I love the fact that movies can change
Right.
us, and then as story writers, you can write a story that can then change more of us, and then we can change.
If you affect one person with the story that you write, and it affects them in a positive way. I mean, there's a girl who is dying of this really extremely rare blood disease. She's been moved from hospital to hospital, and her family's just going through like tragedy after tragedy. And this girl, I think, is 21 now, and she's like defying odds and living. And she read my book about fairies, and just totally fell in love with it. And she's like thanking me all the time, and like she can't wait for the second book to come out, and please tell me what happens. And I'm like, please just stay alive long enough to, I don't want to say
you
that.
better carry on writing.
I need to
then.
finish the book.
You've got
So,
something. You've got someone waiting.
I've made no money off the book, but when I have that kind of a reaction from somebody, then it's like, you know what, this is pretty cool. So
I
write
guess.
a book about fairies, I guess, is the answer.
Yeah, write something that really touches and moves you,
Right.
that makes you feel excited. I know that Muggs has got a great pilot idea out, a feature idea out there. So that needs a story that needs to be told.
Yeah.
She came to a pitch fest. Actually, that reminds me, we have a pitch session for the LA panel next Thursday. So third Thursday is next Thursday.
And my buddy from home just said I'll be in LA next Thursday. So Mark, you can come to
Come
our
along.
you
I'd
come
love
our
to
party.
meet you because it's Mark Biz person.
Mark's the Biz Tank person.
Biz Tank. Hey,
Yeah.
Mark. Lovely to meet you. I'd love to meet you in person.
If you're still watching, Mark, or text me at the very least.
But anyway, yes, we have a panel next Thursday. We're doing, we're kind of doing how to get into the business.
It's called Crafting Your Career as a Screenwriter. Pretty general, but we're going to have Lee Jessup. Lee Jessup's going to be on the panel. She's always awesome. We're going to have a producer, surprise guest kind of thing. But we do our third Thursdays every month, and they're always fun and social. So if you're in Los Angeles, you can come to this panel. We have a whole bunch of different cities.
And then in New York, they're doing
yeah.
from first draft to final draft, and they're discussing Contact that night with James Hart, the guy that actually wrote it.
Contact is one of the movies that did change my life.
I changed my life, and I only saw it recently.
I am absolutely in love with that movie, and mainly because the first time I watched that, just as an aside, I was having a series of recurring dreams. I don't know if I ever told you this. About 8, 9, a little less than a year, about 8 or 9 months prior to me seeing Contact, and I was in college, I think, where I was seeing. I had this sense, most dreams you just feel it, but I had this sense of being in space, I guess you could say, and seeing the sky in just dotted with trillions of stars. And the stars started to swirl, and I remember during that moment feeling connected, like completely connected to the universe. Like
You
it
were
was
taking
this,
mushrooms.
it was this otherworldly kind of feeling to the dream. And in Contact, that's one of the visuals
Yeah,
that she
the whole
has.
thing is the swirl. Yeah, it's the whole
And
thing
the
about.
stars start to move and they swirl and change. And when I saw that, I was like, "Oh my god!" And I couldn't believe what I was watching. And because of the connectiveness or connectedness that Jodie Foster's character was having during the moment when she was traveling through space, and she was saying they should have sent a poet, and I'm like, yes, they should have done.
Well,
Oh,
Vincent
God.
van Gogh is the whole thing about his night in his nighttime stars. Is all that is the
It's like a
vortex.
swirl.
It's like a
It's this-
swirl. It's
yeah.
the same thing.
Yeah, I was having like this weird out-of-body set of experiences in my
Wow.
dreams, and then
That's
frickin'
when I
Jim
realised
Hart
Matthew
writes it.
McConaughey could actually act. I didn't realise.
Yeah,
all
that's
right,
right.
all right. No, Dallas Buyers Club is very good in that.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. Let's look at the comments really quick before we get into trivia. So we've got P.T. Anderson Marathon, Requiem for a
Oh
Dream.
yeah,
is a
but one
solid
sec. They're
depiction
just
of
they're
time.
showing the Contact the night before at the assemblage on John Street. So if you're in New York,
Oh, yes.
on the Wednesday night, you can go and actually watch the movie, and then on the Thursday night, they're going to do it in New York, and
It'll
it's
be
at
on
the
panel.
assemblage John Street. I'm sure it's actually on the ISA website. So look up our
And
event
Jess
stuff.
Hines is going to interview Jim.
Jim Hart, and
And-
actually Craig's going to be there.
Oh, and Craig James, our founder, is going to be in New York. And Jess is awesome. If you want a different type of screenwriting coach, you should go to meditativewriting.org. Jess is really, she's awesome. Let's see, we've got here.
Sorry, but do continue with the lovely movies. I love hearing the thing.
Oh,
that
Mark
makes people-
said, I'm in, but kids are welcome, right? And technically, no. It's a bar.
Is it?
Sorry, dude.
Is it though?
It's,
I thought, is it not a Jacob?
they're little kids. No, he's talking about coming to Los Angeles.
Oh my goodness.
They're little kids. We'll talk about it, Mark.
Oh yeah, sorry. We're
We'll figure it out.
It's 21 and over.
Arrival was one of those movies that it gave a new life to the entire alien
I
apocalyptic
agree. It
genre
felt
for sure.
very much like Contact. I felt it had.
It
a
was
certain-
there's that connectedness. You know, how are we
Communication
relating
thing.
to the universe around us? All right, let's trivia time. Let's do some trivia. Get your typing fingers ready. What are we giving away?
We are giving away an entry to CineQuest for their screenwriting contest.
So the screenwriting competition for CineQuest, you can go to cinequest.org, I believe.
Yeah.
Org or .com, whichever. Sorry,
We did
CineQuest.
post it earlier.
Yeah, it was posted earlier. All right, so what do we got? We got a question first, or are we
Oh,
going
I'm
to
just
do
looking
music?
up the thing. I'm just looking up the thing.
The thing?
It's cinequest.org. You were right.
It
you
is
were
org.
right.
.org. Yeah. Okay.
Dun 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 dun. Let's start with the question.
All right, question. Oh, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to do 11 questions, all right? So we're going to tally up whoever has the most correctly answered questions after 11.
How many fingers?
So we're going to go probably for the
DJ
next
White.
10 minutes.
Biggest. Tom Cruise. Oblivion. Oh yeah.
Overrated Tom Cruise. I've heard people saying they loved Oblivion, but...
I didn't mind Oblivion.
all right, here we go. First question. Whoever has the most correctly answered after 11 questions.
Okay. What colour is the eye in the 007 film? It's quite
What?
hard. What colour is the eye? This is from a 90s film.
From a
Think-
90s film.
Think this.
What color is the eye? I think this is kind of a
What
weird
colour is the
question.
eye in the 007 film?
Muggs says black.
No.
It's not black.
Think suave.
White,
British.
golden.
Yes!
Golden eye.
Golden
I
eye.
get it. Golden eye. All right. See, this is we gotta think outside the box. Lee J, you got it. Lee
You
J's
got
one
it, you
up.
got it, you got it, you got it.
All right, one more.
Oh, this is hard. Off what island is Jaws set? Off what island
Island.
is Jaws set? James, do you mind keeping a tally? Off what island is Jaws set? It's in America.
Island.
Rah, rah, rah.
Jaws. Is it a trick question?
No.
Robin's saying Amity. Is it Amity?
don't know.
No, it's not Amity.
There's island in
There's
the
an
title.
Island.
There's island in the title. Long Island!
Long Island in the book. Long
Yes.
Island.
Yes,
All right.
that's it. Long Island.
Very good.
Very good. Who was that?
Martha's Vineyard. That's good. So Robin's got one. Lee J and Robin both have one.
Okay.
So and let me just, these are tricky, okay? So there's kind of like a trickster little thing going on with the words.
Some of them.
So there's usually like the golden, and what's the color of the eye? The name of the movie was Golden Eye, so there's usually a little twist there.
Yeah.
So
Some of them. Okay. Which child star Shirley went on to be a U.S. ambassador?
all right, this should be quick. Which child star Shirley?
You can't be serious. Stop calling me Shirley. Shirley, you can't be serious. Stop calling me Shirley.
What child star? Come on, I'm refreshing. Temple. Robin got Temple as well. Robin's got quick fingers. Sorry,
She's
everybody.
got quick.
She got it first. Shirley Temple, Shirley Temple, Shirley Depp. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, Robin was quick there.
Now,
All right.
what movie is this from?
So Robin's got 2, Lee J has 1, right?
I think so.
Yes.
Oh, let's see if I can get this to play. 1 second.
All right, now we're going to do music, right?
Yes.
What movie is this song from?
Yes. Oh, that's not
Maybe.
always playing a cue, so I don't want to do that.
Oh my God, we should have gotten this queued up. What do you got?
Why isn't it playing it?
It's
think
probably
it might be
connected to your. Oh no, here you go. How about turn the volume up?
I did that. Oh, here. Oh. 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 I don't know.
Bear with this podcast, people. You're probably driving in your car going, "What the hell is happening over there?" At least people on the Facebook thing can see. What's
I don't
happening?
understand why it won't play it. Why won't it
Is
play
it connected to your Amazon device? It's on pause.
Oh, I know, but it's playing it here.
All right, we're gonna have to skip the music.
Yeah, we are going to skip the music. I don't understand why it's not playing it. Okay, I'm going to ask in what area of New York is Crocodile Dundee set?
Oh, what area of New York? I think this is pretty easy. Area of New York is Crocodile Dundee set.
Yes.
I'm gonna take a sip of my wine. Manhattan.
Yes!
Kevin Hanna with Manhattan.
So how are we doing? Let's do
All right.
numbers.
So Robin's got 2, Lee J's got 1, Kevin's Hannah's got 1. So we've done 4 questions so far.
Have we?
Let's do the next one.
I still don't know why it won't play. It's very annoying to me. This on this computer. Oh.
Oh my God, the volume is down. All right, what movie? Get it close to the thing. What movie is this song from? Mr. ZZ, you should be able to get this. What movie is this song from? Grease, Suzanne Prescott. All right, Suzanne's coming into the fold.
Okay.
DJ, Kevin, Suzanne, Robin. All right, yeah.
Ask that one.
Which film was about the activities of unemployed parapsychologists in New York? That's a
What?
tricky question.
What film?
What movie was about unemployed parapsychologists
In New York
in
City.
New York City?
Hi Bruno, nice to see you too. Mark, sorry, Suzanne had quicker fingers.
Yeah, there might be a delay in Wisconsin.
Dinner,
Ghostbusters,
dinner.
James McCarthy, you cheating.
Are you supposed to be joining in, James? Have you got a script to send us in a quest?
Yeah.
That's the
All right, James pops in. So right now, Robin's got 2. Everybody else pretty much has got 1.
okay.
That was
won-
our 6th question. We've got 5 left.
Who won an Oscar for The Accused?
Who won an Oscar for The Accused? I think I know this. Who won an Oscar for The Accused? It's interesting. Who won an Oscar? Mark guessed The Office for parapsychologists in New York. Susan Prescott, Jodie Foster.
Yes!
Got it. Jodie Foster. Suzanne's got 2, tied with Robin.
Okay.
Harry Keene, Haunted TV Network, checking in. Hey, thanks, Harry. Do we have to tell a ghost story now? Do a horror, scary. Oh yeah, do a scary story. Oh my God, I can't even talk. Line, song.
Let's do a
It's
question while
gotta
I
be
look this
kinda
up. I can do a
tough.
horror question.
Related question, because I think that person would probably get the horror related theme
Yeah.
song too easily.
Oh, okay, 70s.
Oh my God, we have to scroll.
There's so many scrolling. Scrolly, sci-fi movies, the best of British. Maybe we should do one of those. No. Charlie Chaplin. Should we do a Charlie Chaplin movie? Cinema. War films.
Can you?
Oh,
Okay.
I haven't got any horror films.
Pick one. Let's do it. Come on. We're going
Okay.
slow.
Who wrote and starred in the 1922 version of Robin Hood? Let's look that up.
Okay, but this is a tough one. Who wrote and
starred in the
in
1922
I
version
know I'm going to be mad that I can't
of
remember his
Robin
name.
Hood.
Shit. Oh, I don't want to guess because I don't want to ruin it. Wrote and starred in Errol Flynn. That's who I think
No.
it was. Really, it's not Errol Flynn.
But nice try. Good
Kevin
guess.
Costner. He's a little before Kevin Costner's 1922 film, Bruno.
I think Kevin would be quite upset
He would
by
be
that.
well,
He'd
he's
be
looking
like,
good for his age.
I mean, he does look good, but 1922 is a whole other amount of good.
Yeah,
He's
everybody's
very
guessing Errol Flynn.
famous. So let's Google who.
I think it's
1922
Rudolph
version
Is it
of.
Valentino?
No, it's
not Valentino.
Douglas Fairbanks.
Oh, Douglas Fairbanks.
You know Douglas.
All right, we'll go to the next. Sorry, guys.
What movie is this from?
Is this from? I know it. Get it close. I know it right away.
It's on the top four.
What is this horror theme?
Kevin had it, but
Halloween, E.J. Wyatt.
oh no, people got it off the event. What are we going to do about Douglas?
Oh, that's okay. So, Robin, we switched. Kevin, I apologize. You guys did get it correctly, but we moved on from that question. EJ,
So we're on a delay here, so we
yeah,
don't
we're
know.
on a little bit of a delay. But EJ, you got that question right. EJ's one. So we've got Suzanne and Robin tied at 2. We're on question 8.
Okay. What Apollo mission was the subject of a film with Tom Hanks?
Come on, here we go.
What Apollo mission
Apollo mission.
was the subject of a film with Tom Hanks?
This is easy.
But it's just the mission you've got to find. That's the thing. It's the mission you've got to do.
It's called. It's
Oh, yeah.
13. Apollo 13. Robin has
Yes.
got 3.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, now we're going to do this
We're
one.
on. We've got 2 questions left. So somebody can oust. Suzanne can oust Robin if Suzanne is listening. We got a movie theme.
Yeah.
What is this? This is really scary. Not easy. You gotta hold this because I have to scroll the thing. Ooh, this is gonna scare me. This is a theme that is not very easy to get right away. I will say it is a horror movie. Good guess, EJ. It's not Rosemary's. It's not The Exorcist. The Omen.
Yes,
Gary Thingy.
Gary.
All right, we got one question left. Suzanne, if you're listening, you can tie Robin, and we'll have to have a face-off.
Okay, I'm going to do, what do we think? Hollywood heyday, Hollywood, what are we going to do?
Let's find a good one. Let's look at answers first. What's this say?
That's too easy.
That's oh yeah. That's interesting.
See, look. Right,
Yeah, these are easy. These
Yeah, and
are
Hollywood
pretty
ones are easy.
Yeah, that's easy.
yeah, that's one.
That's tough. All right, this is. I would not have been able to get this right off the bat.
Who directed Lawrence of Arabia?
Who directed
Lawrence of Arabia. Peter O'Toole.
One of
was
my all-time favorite movies.
Beautiful, blue
Yeah.
eyes in that. His son, actually, Lorcan O'Toole, has exactly
Peter
the
O'Toole
same.
is the actor, so it's not Peter O'Toole, obviously.
But
Director.
we're looking at the director. But Peter O'Toole's son is called Lorcan O'Toole. He's actually been in LA working as an actor, and he is drop dead gorgeous. Got exactly the same eyes as Mr.
David
O'Toole.
Lean, Kevin Hanna.
That means
All right.
Kevin got 2. Did he not get 2?
Now Kevin's at 2. That is true. Kevin's at 2. We have one question left. Or no, did that?
That was a tie thing.
That was now we've got a tie. That's true. No, I think so. I think Robin had. Yes. So we're at a tie now.
So it's Robin, Suzanne, and Kevin.
And Kevin.
I do apologise. We've both had a glass of wine and we haven't had any dinner. So now everything's just a tiny bit.
Kevin and Robin are the only two. I apologize, everybody. Don't blow it. For Robin and Kevin, this is going to be. Oh, and Suzanne is on. So we've got a three-way. Suzanne even got that right. But all right, so it's Robin, Suzanne, and Kevin. Those are the only three that can guess.
So this is going to be an easy one.
All right, who's fastest?
So it's
Robin,
going to be like
Suzanne,
to the draw with the
Kevin.
fingers. Okay. Who won an Oscar for Forrest Gump and Philadelphia?
Who's fastest?
I'm pointing at the lens. I'm willing you all argue.
Uh-oh, I think Robin had three, so I apologize. But,
Oh,
So we'll see. Okay, Suzanne. Shit, wait, we screwed that up. I think we need to give it to Robin, but Suzanne, second. Yeah.
you were in charge of numbers.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep track of 11 different questions.
Okay,
But
Robin.
everybody is admitting, and I apologize, Robin. I think you did have three.
Well,
Suzanne.
Robin, you have won an entry to CineQuest's
Yeah.
screenplay contest for March of next year. So you can get it in soon. They're taking in submissions right now. It has to go through without a box. So
Well, you got to
we
message
will-
us through Facebook here
Yeah,
on
and then
ISA.
James will get
Yeah.
you the code. But
Suzanne, you're amazing. I apologize for the number goof, but Robin, I do believe Robin won.
and Kevin, I apologise too. You're amazing. You've been such a great supporter of the ISA, so I do apologise.
Yeah.
Anyway, you lot are incredible and amazing and wonderful, and I hope you felt inspired. I mean, I think the other thing that we want to do, even for today, for us, was to remember there are amazing movies out there that make you feel inspired and make you want to write movies and want to change people's hearts and minds and thoughts, because we all need that.
Yeah. Pick something you care about. Figure out a character that's going to live within that world, who has something to achieve on a big level personally, and I think you're going to be all right.
Yeah. I
All
look
right.
forward to reading your work.
We will be back next week, so tune in next week Wednesday. And if everybody's here, and anybody in Los Angeles can meet us at Busby's
Thursdays.
East on Wilshire Boulevard, Thursday the 16th.
Yes.
Yeah, so Thursday the 16th. Hopefully you can make it. All right, everybody. Have a great night, and
Yeah.
I will see you soon.
Take care.
We will.
Bye.